All right, everyone. Welcome back to the DBTalks Football Podcast. It has been quite a while. Happy New Year to those that celebrated. But today we're going to be talking about the huge Catalan derby against Espanyol, where Barcelona won 2-0 today. And we scored two late goals from Dani Olmo and Robert Lewandowski to basically steal the game at the death of the game. And just going into this game, throughout this game, it felt like we could drop points because the atmosphere and how passionate the Espanyol fans were. And the main headline was Joan García going back to his old club, Espanyol, because as we know, last season he did play for them. He pretty much saved them from relegation. So he was basically a fan favorite at Espanyol last season. But he did kind of betray them and join the other Barcelona side, which was Barca this season, and he has been tremendous this season, especially in this game. And yeah, just a lot of a lot of things going into this game because of Joan Garcia and how he kind of betrayed his club. And there were things like rats being thrown on the field. There were things like booing constantly going on. But yeah, overall, a great performance from Joan Garcia. Basically shuts all the haters up. And just going into this game, I think it was really important to start the new year off in good form and keep our 9 win game streak going. And yeah, just Burjas, did you have any thoughts going into this game that we can maybe slip or drop points in the derby?
So obviously this is a very important game because now, like I said, it's a big rivalry. This is probably um one of the bigger rivalries that Barcelona have. So yeah, I guess going to the game, and we also saw a lot of the Espanyol players and even the manager talking about Barcelona and like about the Joan Garcia situation. A lot of fans talking about how they were like, very riled up. I think going to this game, it was much more intense than I think any game Barcelona's played so far. Because of that, I think like the whole atmosphere was very kind of lethal. I feel like a lot of the fans had a lot of hatred, which is honestly understandable. So yeah, it was honestly pretty interesting to see going to the game. I did think Barcelona were gonna win the game because I think Barcelona so far have been really good ever since the loss to Chelsea. I think Barca have done a good job in getting the wins. I do think sometimes the performances aren't as good, but the thing with Barcelona is that they're able to get the goals and someone get the win. So I thought today would have been the same. I thought Barca would have gone to win. And even look at the lineup, I was surprised. I was surprised he's Pedri not start, but then I saw later that the plan was to make him only play 40 minutes. So then I was kind of understandable. And I think the lineup going to the game was pretty good. It was kind of what we usually see, just no Pedri, and we saw De Jong starting. So yeah, I was pretty excited to see the game. I just want to see how it go, especially as mentioned the new year, how Barcelona go in the new year because now we're kind of transitioning to the more important parts of the season where the stakes of the game get much higher, and for Barcelona to increase the Liga lead, that was very important because seeing Madrid's situation and how we see Mbappe is injured. Oh, he might miss some games. That could be important for Madrid dropping points and Barca, making the gap much larger in the league. So hopefully, Barca are able to close out the league early on to focus on the UCL or something else. And I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I felt going to the game. I'm sure you also are pretty excited to see a game, and also like I saw a lot of Espanyol fans talking, so you kind of want to shush them up by having Barca get a pretty good win.
Even like before going to this game, as you mentioned, like we have a big winning streak. We were on a 8 game LaLiga winning streak, and this now we make it 9. So ever since that Madrid loss, we've really picked up form in La Liga, and I think it's really important to just keep winning because if we did lose today, like Madrid won tomorrow, they would only be 2 points away from La Liga. So I think yeah, it's just really important to keep winning and keep our 7 point lead going. And I think um, yeah, like this game, like the lineup itself, we saw Pedri didn't start as you mentioned because I think Flick decided that this game was too intense and Pedri just came back from injury. So I guess just putting him in back into the lineup would kind of risk him for the future, and we do need him for our next few fixtures. So I think Flick did put out our pretty much strongest lineup without Pedri right at the moment. And I think something Flick needs to think about is how he plays Rafinha in this lineup because whenever he plays him at town, I just noticed that Rafinha's his strengths get nullified, and the way he can run past the defense kind of just stops. He kind of has to be like a playmaker, which he really isn't. So I think Flick should kind of decide whether he can play Yamal at the 10, because when he did experiment that with Rooney Bargi, I think that went really well. So I think I want to see Flick use that kind of same formation, but instead of Rafinha at the 10, he puts Yamal at the 10 and maybe Rafinha at the right wing position. So other than that, I think, yeah, the lineup was really strong. And then I did have big expectation because it has been quite a while since the Barca game, and to start off the new year at Espanyol away was going to be such a big performance. But yeah, going into the game, I guess it was very cagey. It was very high press. I guess both sides were going at each other, and I guess Espanyol, because they were at home, they were trying to get that first goal as fast as they could, because it kind of boost that morale for the team. And then, yeah, you want to talk about the first half for a bit?
First, yeah. So for the first half, I think I wasn't that impressed by how Barcelona played. I think Barca were kind of like attacking wise. I don't think there was much really going on from Barca besides you saw the first chance where Lamine passed the ball to Ferran, and Ferran didn't really expect the ball to go to him. He thought the defender would have got it. So when he got the ball, he made a very bad first touch, kind of like kind of out of surprise. He did a good first touch, and he was in front of goal. So if he controlled the ball, he probably could have scored, but wasn't able to. Ever since that, throughout that first half, I think Barcelona weren't creating anything. I think the most we really saw was Lamine taking shots. A lot of times his shots kind of go wide, so it's not really great chances. And I think if anything, I think Espanyol were a lot more scary. I think they were actually creating chances and kind of close to scoring. And I guess we talk about Joan García now because he's probably like the main highlight of the game. Not just before the game, talk about like how he the switching clubs, but also his performance today was extraordinary. And he made some good saves in the first half. And that kind of saved Barca. Like for example, that one header chance in the first half was an amazing save by Joan Garcia. I like usually that would go in, but I think he's very good and he was able to make that save. And that definitely helped Barca seeing the game because I think the first half Barca looked very out of it. I mean, nothing was really working. You mentioned before with Rafinha how at the 10 he like, a lot of his strengths he isn't able to really use them. So I kind of noticed as well. I think Rafinha didn't really have a good game because I don't know. I don't think he was playing in a role that suits what he's good at or not what he's best at. And looking at Rashford, I think Rashford also didn't do well. Usually he's able to get GA and kind of like do something, but this game I noticed that he wasn't really doing that. He kind of looked very, I guess, like sloppy, and kind of disappointed to see how Barca played like that in the first half. Considering coming off a very long break, I thought everything would be more refreshed, more energized. But that didn't really seem to be the case. I think Fran didn't really do much. I don't think he was like that good in the first half. And Lamine, I think, was probably the best attacker out of the four, but I think he was still able to do something. I mean, he had like a lot of like, close chances, even though they're kind of off. He's at least trying to do something. He has some very good dribbles, and he's very good at taking on his man in the first half. And I mean, besides that, I think the defense wasn't that great just because it was very exposed. I felt the defense in the first half was very exposed. Even the second half was also exposed. And Espanyol were getting a lot of good opportunities. I think what I would say is that I think Espanyol's decision making wasn't that good. I think if they made better decisions, they would have been much closer to scoring, and they probably would have gone a goal today. But yeah, I think it was very bad on the defense. I think going forward, I think someone like Balde, I think he was actually good. In the first half, he had some very good plays, bringing the ball forward, but defensively, I still think Barca are still lacking, which I definitely think needs like a lot more focus on Hansi Flick because that defense is going to probably be what stands between Barca and the UCL. And I mean, midfield wise, I think Eric was good. I think Young's also good in the first half. I think it was okay, but I think second half is where we really see Barca kind of do a bit more, and that's like. I think in the second half, Barca were able to close the game off much better, but I still don't think overall it was that impressive.
Yeah, just back to the first half for a bit. Like you mentioned, like the first thing for Barca to do in that first half was kind of survive the waves of Espanyol because they had many chances, and it felt like just the overall atmosphere was favoring Espanyol the whole time because the crowd was booing. There's just a lot of decisions, like I mean, like just a lot of passion going into this game. And obviously, we saw that Barca had their usual long spells of possession, but it just felt like we were struggling to create like clear chances that we could score from. I mean, a couple chances fell to Ferran, but I just felt like his touch was really heavy today. He couldn't really control the ball, and some of his decision making was not the best today. So I do think Ferran is still struggling in terms of form. I mean, when he is on his form, he does really score like a lot of goals. But I guess today was not one of his best performances, and it just felt like Espanyol would just sit compact in their like kind of deep block and kind of try to make it a fight in midfield to win the ball back and then counter. I just felt like at times, like even the XG favored Espanyol because even though they had fewer chances, some of their chances were like clear cut and like they could have easily scored. But again, it just goes down to Joan Garcia and how he saved us continually in this game. And yeah, you mentioned that like last opportunity for Espanyol in the first half, where Jean Garcia kind of like the ball goes into the box and a clear like uh, head-on header from the Espanyol player and an amazing save from Joan Garcia. I mean, in my opinion, he's like easily a top three goalkeeper in the world. He could even push to being the best in the world soon. But yeah, I do feel like he single-handedly saved us this game from conceding at least 3 goals. And at halftime, I just felt like we were really like lacking creativity, and it felt like players like Pedri would be needed, and maybe even Lewandowski because Ferran was really not having a great game. But again, yeah, again in the second half, the momentum actually started to swing again towards Espanyol, and they started finding more space and having more chances in the game. But again, a great save from Joan Garcia. I think one of those chances was when they were 1-on-1, and he kind of the player tried to go around him. But again, a great like stop from Joan Garcia, just really really good. And then there was another chance. I guess I mean there's like 5 saves that Joan Garcia made that. I mean, I was just my jaw was on the floor because I mean it's been such a long time since we have had a goalkeeper like him. I think back to like Ter Stegen, I think 4 or 5 years ago when he was in his prime. I think Ter Stegen was kind of similar to that, but I think yeah, it's just been so long since we've had a keeper like Jean Garcia, and I think it's time to appreciate someone like him. And yeah, then we finally had our one chance in the I think 60th something minute, where Fermin, or no, sorry, 80th 86th minute, and yeah, Fermin just kind of came on, and it felt like at like the 80th minute mark, it felt like Barca were either gonna drop points either by a draw or a loss, even like with the Espanyol late goal because of the amount of chances they were having. But yeah, I think the major impacts were from Fermin and Dani Olmo and Lewandowski. I think Pedri didn't really have a great cameo because he like the intensity was crazy. Pedri did have that one chance where he kind of got like he took a shot and kind of got injured. I was kind of worried like whether he actually got injured or not, but thankfully it was just a small knock and I think he's okay. But yeah, back to Fermin. I think he had a great cameo. He just came on, kind of had those 2 assists. I think it's much better decision making from him because in the past I feel like both those chances he would either try to shoot or kind of be a bit selfish and dribble. But both those decisions I think he did great. Like he took great turns, great dribbling, and then really good to find that finishing pass. And that first Olmo goal, I mean, what a finish! I mean, even before Olmo came on, I mentioned like our group chat, like he had blonde hair, so invested in his stocks. So I think yeah, what a finish from him. I think that was unsavable for Dimitrovic, who also had a pretty decent game. And the second goal was from Lewandowski again. For me, great dribbling, and he finds Lewandowski in the box, and kind of like a chip finish from Lewandowski. A bit lucky, kind of bounced off his chest. But yeah, I think just we kind of stole this game at the end. Great game for us in terms of the league. And your thoughts?
Yes, I mean second half. I don't think I saw like Barca could have done a lot better. I think I'm still struggling to create chances and trying to get the goal. And I think really the subs are what changed the game. I think with the current with the starting lineup, the attackers weren't doing anything. So I think the change in subs was definitely needed. And yeah, as you mentioned, Fermin had a very good cameo off the bench coming off. I think when he's not selfish, I think he's very good, and I think we saw a lot of less selfishness out of him. He was able to get the 2 assists. So yeah, I think he was very good, and I think that like him doing that, becoming a key contributor is going to be very important because I think with the 10, I think it's interesting discussion on like, who should start in that 10 role for Barca because we're kind of saying that Rafinha's not really working. So having someone like Firmino or even Olmo start it and having them in good form is definitely very important to make sure that the attack can create chances consistently and you'll score a lot of goals because that's what Hansi Flick needs out of the attack. And yeah, it's always like also with Espanyol, they were also still very experienced second half. They were still taking a lot of chances, and Joan García made so many good saves in the second half that it was honestly just amazing to see all the saves. Like every save is every save is very just shocking. Because Barca conceded a lot, so kind of expected to concede, but Joan García was able to make some very good saves. That definitely helps Barca stay in the game as well because I think Barca were like sometimes losing control of the game throughout the whole game. I feel like Espanyol at times just dominating the game. So yeah, that was definitely important for the Barca to just hold on and somehow get the goal. And talk about Pedri for a bit because I think Pedri's sub was kind of key. I think just with Pedri, he always has a good performance. Like I don't think he was like outstanding today because he didn't play many minutes, and also I guess in this game state he wasn't able to do much, but I still think he had a good performance. And I think you also mentioned the how he got hurt almost. Someone a player tackled him when he tried to take a shot. That was definitely scary. I thought he was hurt, he was like injured or something because his reaction, and also the players were asking for a medic right away. So I thought something happened to his leg, thing or something. But hopefully that was not the case, and Pedri's fine. Hopefully he's able to stay healthy because I think Pedri's health is going to be super key for Barca in the remaining part of the season because I think he's been Barca's best player so far in the season. So he'll definitely be key. Olmo, almost kind of an interesting case because I think with Olmo, he hasn't had a great season so far. I think he's had games where he hasn't really done much. He's also missed a lot of chances, but I think today he definitely. I don't think he was great, like too great overall, but his goal is that got Barca the first goal in the lead, and that was definitely very important. And as you mentioned, it was a very good finish, just outside the box, first time upright. That was insane to see. I think almost someone like that who can produce those special moments, but I like to see more consistency out of Olmo because otherwise it's kind of hard to have someone who isn't always available because he's very injury prone and sometimes he doesn't give. He's like a either does very well or doesn't do anything type player. I feel so far with Barca. So getting more consistency out of him would probably be great because I think he can definitely produce some very special moments. And I mean, yeah, that's really all I have to say for the second half. I think overall the game could have been done a lot better. I think even Flick knows that, even the players, because I think for the first like 86 minutes, Barca were just struggling. I feel like Barca's quality, they should be doing a lot better versus a team like Espanyol. So Espanyol are doing well in LaLiga. I think Barca, if they want to win the UCL, if they want to be the best team in the world, they have to do a lot better in big games. That's the rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this performance was not the best, like to go into the new year, but I think being like winning this game as to be winners of the Liga, I think it's really important to win games like this, especially away against derby like rivals. And I think just getting the 3 points in this game was really important because it did seem like we were either gonna draw or even lose this game. But just yeah, winning this game 2-0, I think is really, really important for the title race and keeping up the pressure on Real Madrid because they do have a particularly difficult game tomorrow against Betis. So hopefully they drop more points even there so that our lead grows more. But yeah, I think one of the highlights, like game changers for this game was Fermin Lopez, who got 2 assists in just like a short cameo, and he kind of I feel like he flipped that match on its head. I think he helped us really get those 3 points. And I feel like for our man of the match, for me specifically, I think it's really easy. I think it was Joan Garcia. But yeah, just because of them like six saves that he made, I think he was just really incredible. He kept us in that game throughout. And I think without him, I think we would have easily conceded at least 2 goals in that first half, maybe even lost this game like 3-1 or something. But yeah, I think shout out to Fermin for getting the 2 assists and even Olmo. I think that was a lovely finish. Hopefully, a player like Olmo can keep up this form. I do think players like Fermin, Olmo, and Ferran Torres are like the best substitution players because I feel like they can make an instant impact. But I think when Ferran starts, players like me, even like Olmo when he starts, I think like sometimes he just kind of doesn't do much in a game. But recently, hopefully, I think in the new year, hopefully he keeps up this form because we do need a player like him to, I guess, help us win games. Because if we just solely rely on players like Pedri and Yamal, I think they're gonna get worn out. So having players like Fermin and Olmo chip in is going to be really important. And I think for the future, I think this could like force Fermin back into the lineup because we have not seen him in the starting lineup for quite a while. So yeah, hopefully he does continue his form as well. And now we, as I mentioned before, our winning streak in La Liga is up to 9 games, so that's really good. And hopefully we continue collecting wins. And even if we're not as dominant as always, I think if we just continue winning, is going to be really important for, as you mentioned, like in the future, focusing on the Champions League and focusing on fixtures that are particularly harder in other competitions. And yeah, just a question for you: like, do you think um, this performance makes us more confident in Barca for the future, like the next half of the season? And where would you rank players like Olmo, Fermin, and Ferran Torres in terms of like playing at the 10, or like even like who's your ideal 10 for this formation?
Yeah, so I just want to quickly for the first question about performance and like how it might do to the future. I think like just looking at this performance alone, it's like not that great. So I think versus a better side, something like this would be terrible because I think Barca would easily lose the game versus a side like Bayern or even like Arsenal or okay, but we even saw versus Chelsea. Barca very outplayed and dominated, and then now look at Chelsea right now in their form. Chelsea have been terrible. Their manager Maresca resigned. They have a whole like manager situation, like so many issues. So I just think the performance wasn't good. But I think with Barca, the thing is that Barca sometimes like do this in the La Liga, but in like the UCL, Barca can put good performances up. We saw last season at least that was the case. This season is not really the case. I feel like Barca and the UCL haven't been that great either. I feel it's just very inconsistent. So I think with Barca, just needs to see more out of the players and just the way they play. Because with Hansi Flick, I feel like he's a bit stubborn. I think he doesn't really want to change the highline. He doesn't want to change the way he plays because it's his philosophy. So he kind of want to stick with it. But I think for it to actually work, the players have to express more of their creativity, and they also have to be played to their strengths. So yeah, I think what I would say is, I mean, hopefully this game serves as more of a, I guess, like maybe like a reminder to Flick to, try his best to make the team even better. And if he's able to do that, then I think for sure we'll see better performances, and Barca can do very well in the second half of the season, and hopefully with some trophies. I mean, there's the Copa del Rey that's on the way, and then also the Spanish Super Cup, which will be big, exciting to see. And then obviously UCL. I think the UCL is probably the biggest like the tournament that Barca want to win, and it's not looking too great as terms of getting top 8. But I mean, I think if Barca like can keep up like very good form, like pretty consistent form, then I think I think Barca can easily win the UCL if they do that though. And I think the players need to improve. Like as I mentioned before with the defense, I think the defense just hasn't been that good this game. And overall this season, it's been very lacking. I hope Barca are able to take some winter signing because Flick wants one. I think everyone wants one. Center back, like something like Senesi or Lauderback would work. I think that's something that needs to happen for Barca. Like I think a winter signing would definitely improve the squad. And I also want to quickly mention about Araujo because we heard that like a weeks ago that Araujo would have returned this game, but he said today that he wasn't able to. He wasn't ready to play. I feel like Araujo is also like a bit of an issue in terms of like, he should be available for Barca in the future in the rest of the season because Barca's center back depth isn't that good. I mean, when we were talking about the lineup before the game, you told me about the defenders on the bench. There was only Jofre Torrens, and the other defenders were just midfielders that could play center back as well, like if they had to. And we also know about the Christensen partial ACL injury, which is terrible news. Hopefully he recovers. I feel like with Christensen, he hasn't been too like reliable in terms of just availability. When he plays, he's great, but the problem is that sometimes he just doesn't play. I feel like Barca really needs to strengthen that center back, that depth and just like all of that. So I think with that, if Barca are able to do that, then I think the second half of the season should be a lot better. And for your second question about the 10, so yeah, I don't think Rafinha at the 10 is like the best possible lineup. I feel like someone like Lamine is a lot better, but feel like for the 10, I think like for like starting wise, I think someone like Olmo or Fermin are kind of like the natural like picks. And between the two, I think Fermin is just a bit better, especially this season. I think Fermin has had better performances and like more highs compared to Olmo. I feel like Olmo kind of had some confidence issues at the start. I feel like he was missing easy chances that he should have scored. So I would say for now, I think Fermin might be the ideal 10, especially coming off this performance. Again, the two assists. I think he should be given the starting 10 for the next few games to see how that goes. If it doesn't work, I feel like Lamine should be tried more as the 10. I think Rafinha needs to stick to his strengths, where he's much better as a runner, kind of like a shallow striker. So yeah, I think that should happen. And I mean, I also like to see more players like such as Dro maybe incorporated because I think he's also a midfielder who's kind of creative and that can definitely help Barca as with the midfield. And I mean with Ferran, I don't think Ferran should start honestly. Because as you mentioned before, he's better as as a sub. I think Lewandowski, the thing is that he has experience over any Barca player right now. He's the oldest and most experienced, and he's played in the biggest tournaments and he's won a lot of stuff. So I think I think he still has it in him to play this whole season, maybe as like starting the important games. Because I think with that experience, he's a natural goal scorer. So I think him over Fran might be better because I think Fran's just been too inconsistent where he just messes up easy chances. His first touch hasn't been too good, but off the bench he's amazing. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned before like the January signings that we could make, and I think the main two positions that we need to focus on at the moment is obviously center back and striker, because I think center back we're just really like weak in depth. I think we've been unfortunate with a couple injuries and obviously the Araujo situation. So right now our only like two major like fit center backs are Gerard Martin and Kubo Barsi, and then Eric Garcia who's kind of being made to play midfield, which is not ideal. And I do think that guys like a Schlotterbeck or even a Senesi I've been impressed with in recent times. I think they could both be really like revolutionary for this side. I think under Flick, I think they could actually really thrive. But I mean, there's not been too much news recently about like who we could start in January. But I do think another striker maybe to target in the summer, someone like a Garasi or I mean even Osimhen. I don't think that's really realistic, but just someone like a poacher, a younger kind of version of Lewandowski. I think that could be really important to help this side kind of regain their attacking threat fully. Because yeah, I don't think Ferran Torres is like really a starter. I think he's more of a utility player, a player that can play right wing, left wing, striker, maybe even like cam, but that's really not his game. But yeah, I just don't think Ferran Torres can really start for Barca at the moment. I just think he's really frustrating when he does start, like especially in this game. Um, but yeah, what was your question about at the end?
Oh, just like with the two questions you asked, like what do you think? Like, I guess with the 10, like who do you think should be the 10, or like how do you think the front four should be? Because I think that's like the most like, I think that's the part of the team that I think is kind of most like, uncertain about because there's so many players that can play different positions, like Rashford left wing or even Rafinha left wing, up top Lewandowski or Fran, and then I think right wing. I mean, people would want maybe Rafinha at the right if Rashford on the left, and then like Romy in the 10. So, like, what do you think is like the best lineup in like front four for Barca?
Yeah, I think if we are going into like a big game, I think our ideal front four would be like Yamal at the right wing. I think Rafinha has to be at his left wing where he does his best. And I think at the cam position, I think either Olmo or Fermin could work. I'd prefer Fermin to actually play. I think Olmo coming on could be useful, but I think Fermin starting the game, I think he just provides a bit more intensity and like running wise, I think he helps the press. And at striker, I think if he's fully fit, I think Lewandowski is our starting striker. But obviously, due to his age, he has to be kind of used in specific types of games and with limited minutes. I think Flick is trying to manage that with Lewandowski. But yeah, I do think we could even see Rashford maybe filling in at the number 9 position. I know that's not really like his strong suit, but I think having a game where like Yamal, Rafinha, and Rashford kind of play the front three, it could be interesting to see again. But I think also Rooney Bargi, I think he's also getting a bit forgotten since that Betis game. I think he had a great game that game, but again, it just feels like he's kind of fallen out of the lineup, and we haven't really seen him play as often, even coming on as a sub. I do think we could like see him more, maybe even at the 10 possession, because I think he's a really like playmaking type of player. I think he does create a lot of chances, so I would like to see him more. But I do feel like, yeah, I think our front four is kind of like shifty. I think we could also see a Maul at the 10, but it just depends on the game states and who we have fit at the moment. But yeah, any other thoughts about this game?
And I think it's a very, obviously it's a very important game because it's a big rivalry and a Liga. I think Barca would love to know the Liga, and these 3 points are definitely very important. And I think getting the win, even without a performance, is yeah, it's good to have that. But I think it's Barca hopefully can like just improve the performance of the guy because I think that fans don't want just to win, but they also want like good football and just consistent football where Barca can play any team and play well and put up a very good fight. I think Espanyol showed a lot of quality today. They're definitely like I mean, from what I saw this game at least, they were very good, very pressing. Though that could probably be just because of the context of the game, like the rivalry and how the atmosphere was probably more energetic than usual because of the Joan García and everything. But yeah, I think with Barca, I mean, the next game is I'm trying to remember. Is it Sociedad or is it Athletic? Athletic.
Your next game is, yeah, Athletic Club. Yeah.
Athletic Club. Okay, yeah. Spanish Cup, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Super Copa.
So yeah, yeah. So I think next game. I mean, Athletic Club they drew today. Um, but I think they're still like a tough team to beat. Like they're still a good team, but I think Barca need to prove more next game because I guess well versus a harder team. I guess and it just shows improvement. So I think Barca hopefully are able to show next game more improvement. Hopefully, I mean I don't know if Pedri will start, but I mean I just see Pedri play more. But I think his health also needs to be taken care of because this scare was something that kind of like is a reminder that like Pedri needs to be honored. His minutes to be monitored. I also think Lamine also has to be a bit monitored too because he plays a lot of minutes, and I feel like you kind of can forget at times just because of how good he is that he's still very young, and that you can't have him being injury prone or anything or having any serious injuries. So yeah, I think that's just something to look forward to. I also want to talk a bit about Gavi because before the game, like the day before the game, when Flick and the Espanyol manager, when they met up to do the jersey pictures, Flick had Gavi's jersey, and I think it also kind of reminded me of how important Gavi is to the team. I think for the midfield, I think having someone like Gavi who's very energetic, who's good technically, he can make good passes, and he's kind of everywhere. I think him will probably be very important for the squad because, I mean, with Barca, I mean, we were talking before about Barca's midfield, and you talked about how you wanted a destroyer type player, something like Caicedo, along with Pedri, and that's a fair point. But I think someone like Gavi can kind of act as that destroyer as well. So hopefully he can come back healthy. The problem though is that he's suffered 2 major injuries in the last 2 years, so he also has to be kind of monitored. So he can't really play too much, but I think it'd be nice to see him kind of get incorporated into the team. I think Barca has as many players as they can have available, and I mean I would like to see Araujo back because I think he's still a good defender. It's just I think if he can improve his decision making, it would make him a lot better. But to be honest, I'm not sure if Araujo could stay in the squad. I just think he's lost the trust with the fans. I think him going for vacation mid-season, I think it's a respectable decision, but I think that also made fans lose more trust in him because he's kind of leaving he's the second choice captain and he's leaving the young defenders kind of out there to be on their own. So I don't know, I feel like with Araujo, it'd be nice to see him back for the second half of the season, see how he does, but I think there'll be a lot of questions around him during the summer on whether if he should stay or not. Because I think his situation is kind of I think it's very uncertain. And also, I want to mention a bit about Ter Stegen because there's a lot of talk about him going on loan to Girona, which I'm not sure if it'll happen, but I think it would be a good decision for him to go because he's second choice he's third choice right now because Szczesny's second choice and John's first choice. So I don't think he's really gonna play much, honestly. Like I don't think in the Copa del Rey he should really play much. I think Szczesny, if anything, or even a young keeper like coaching or like coaching. So yeah, I'm not sure about his situation either. I think in the summer he has to go as well. And yeah, you mentioned with the striker. I think in the summer Barca need to go for a striker. We saw Vlahovic links, which is not look good at all, honestly, because he's a very old player. I think Barca are kind of regressing by going with the older players for a long-term replacement in certain positions. Like for the striker, someone like Garcia would be better. Even though he's kind of older, I think Garcia wouldn't be bad. I think he's like a type of player. He's like a profile that Flick would like, and he's also a player that Flick wants. So I think he would be interesting. And then Young also is an interesting striker as well. Barca did sign Hamza Abdul Karim, the Egyptian striker on loan. I would like to see him play, honestly. I think I think he can prove something, maybe. And maybe Barca can sign him on a permanent, but yeah, we'll just have to see, honestly. I think the rest of the season will be, honestly, very entertaining from Barca.
Yeah, and just before we wrap this up, do you want to give your man of the match for this game and a couple performance you highlighted?
Yeah, sure. So you kind of mentioned already, but my MVP is Joan Garcia. I think he saved Barca throughout the whole game with those crucial saves. And then I guess some other players I'll shout out are I think Balde was very good. I think Jong was good. I think Pedri off the bench was good. I think for me off the bench was game changing. Olmo off the bench actually scored, and Lewandowski off the bench also scored. And I think I was a bit disappointed in both Rashford and Rafinha. I think they could have done more. I think Lamine was okay today. And then I guess a few highlights. The when Joan Garcia pushed Jorge Martinez to save the shot, and that was kind of funny. I thought he first did it because he was in his way, but I think people were saying that he did it to make sure that Jorge was saving the shot. And that was very interesting from Joan Garcia. And then I think all of Joan Garcia's saves were like the highlights, honestly. Besides like the two goals, I think those saves are so important. Also, they're unreal saves, honestly. Like some of the saves are just like outstanding. And then I don't know. I guess besides that, I was impressed a lot by Balde going forward. I think he's very good. That's like one of his biggest strengths, just going forward. I think he did very good at that. And I mean, yeah, that's really all I have to say. What about you?
Yeah, that's pretty much our breakdown of this massive Catalan derby, where thankfully Barcelona won 2-0 against Espanyol. I mean, great performance from Joan Garcia. I can't think about how grateful we are to him, because without him, I think we easily lose this game or even drop points. And yeah, I think it's been such a long time since we had a solid keeper. I think Szczesny's been decent when he came in, but he'd have a couple shaky moments. And even Ter Stegen, like the last couple of years, he's been really poor in form. So yeah, just having a player like Joan Garcia, I think we've seen it at Real Madrid where they have Courtois, and Courtois just single-handedly saves points for Madrid and just kind of like wins them games at times. So finally having a keeper like that at Barcelona is just so important. And yeah, just I think he got his revenge against Espanyol fans who kept booing him. So really thankful to him as well. And Fermin, he had a great double assist cameo. I hope he continues his form. And hopefully also Olmo, that was a lovely finish. So hopefully he continues that type of performances for the future fixtures. And I think, yeah, just really important for Barcelona to get these 3 winning points. And I think it's going to be really important to just continue this form in the league to hopefully get a bigger gap. And again, yeah, hopefully tomorrow against Betis, Real Madrid drop a couple points because Mbappe is actually out of the squad. He has an injury. So hopefully, I mean, it's going to be looking kind of rough for Madrid to see what they do without Mbappe. But I do think we can get a big lead on Madrid if we keep going. But yeah, let us know in the comments who was your man of the match, and was this more about Barca's mentality or Espanyol's wastefulness with their chances? And how confident are you in Barca's title chances after 9 league wins in a row? But yeah, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and follow DB Talks on all platforms. We'll be back with more Barca and football talk content soon. So yeah, stay tuned. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.